Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Do you still remember those shining faces who once filled Hollywood with laughter, music, and dreams? Behind the bright lights and the endless applause, many of them were quietly fighting a battle they could never win. In today's video, we will look back at 13 beloved stars who lost their lives to one of the most merciless diseases, lung cancer. From legendary singers and talk show hosts to rising actors whose talent was just beginning to blossom, their final moments reveal how fragile fame truly is. Some of them smoked their way into history, unaware of the silent danger. Others never even touched a cigarette, yet still met the same fate. Do you remember them? Share your memories and favorite performances of these stars in the comments below, because today we honor the beauty of their work and the tragedy of their end. Number 1. Dustin Diamond, 1977-2021. It was the kind of tragedy no one saw coming. In January 2021, just 3 weeks after being diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, Saved by the Bell actor Dustin Diamond was gone. He was only 44. The news hit fans like a storm. The lovable, goofy Screech, who had once made millions laugh in the 1990s sitcom, was suddenly no more. Doctors said the cancer had spread so fast that even treatment couldn't slow it down. By the time he entered the hospital, it was already too late. Dustin's death shocked not only his co-stars, but an entire generation who grew up watching him. Though his later years were clouded by controversy and financial struggles, his passing reminded everyone of the boyish energy that once lit up Saturday mornings. Do you remember the last time you saw Screech on screen? Share your thoughts below, because even the funniest faces sometimes hide the deepest pain. 2. Christopher Evan Welch, 1965-2013. Hollywood never expected to lose him so soon. In December 2013, Christopher Evan Welch passed away at just 48 years old after a long and private battle with lung cancer. At the time, he was filming HBO's Silicon Valley, the breakout comedy that would soon dominate pop culture. The crew adored his dry humor, his sharp wit, and the quiet dignity he brought to every role. But the illness advanced faster than anyone imagined, forcing production to rewrite the entire series after his death. Born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, Welch built a reputation as one of the most versatile character actors of his generation. From Lincoln to The Master, his performances were the kind that elevated even the smallest roles into something unforgettable. When news of his death broke, co-stars and fans flooded social media with tributes, calling him a hidden gem of modern cinema. Do you remember his role in Silicon Valley? Tell us below, because sometimes the brightest talents fade before the world truly notices their light. 3. John Dulligan, 1930-2009. In January 2009, Hollywood lost a familiar face. One you might not remember by name, but one you've surely seen countless times. John Dulligan died of lung cancer in Los Angeles at the age of 78. His was not the headline-grabbing kind of death, yet for those who knew the craft of acting, it was the quiet end of a remarkable journeyman career. Dulligan was one of those actors who appeared everywhere, from films like Midnight Run and Doc Hollywood to classic television shows that defined an era. He was the man behind the characters that filled the background of America's favorite stories. Colleagues described him as a pillar of consistency, someone who never needed fame to validate his art. When the news came that cancer had taken him, few tabloids covered it, but the industry mourned in silence. Sometimes the unsung heroes of Hollywood fade away without the world realizing what it has lost. Do you remember his face from any film or show? Comment below. Maybe you've seen more of John Dulligan than you think. 4. Dick Hammer, 1920-1989. Few stories in Hollywood history carry such cruel irony. Dick Hammer was once the embodiment of rugged masculinity, a firefighter, an athlete, and, most famously, one of the original Marlboro Men. His chiseled face and calm confidence helped sell the idea that smoking was the mark of a real man. But behind that image was a deadly truth waiting to surface. In 1989, Hammer died from lung cancer, the very disease that his on-screen persona unwittingly helped promote. He was 69. For years, cigarette ads had celebrated men like him, but his death became a grim reminder of the price behind the smoke. Afterward, anti-tobacco advocates began citing his case as one of the most powerful examples of irony in advertising history. Before his modeling career, Hammer was a firefighter in Los Angeles and a professional volleyball player, the kind of man who seemed invincible. Yet no strength could shield him from what his lungs endured. Do you think Dick Hammer ever realized the cost of the image he represented? Leave your thoughts below. 5. Walt Disney, 1901–1966. The man who created magic for millions spent his final days facing a grim reality. Walt Disney, the visionary behind Mickey Mouse, Snow White, and the Kingdom of Dreams itself, died on December 15, 1966, from lung cancer. For decades, he had been a heavy smoker, rarely seen without a cigarette in hand. When doctors discovered a tumor in his left lung, the cancer had already spread too far. He passed away just 1 month after diagnosis, leaving the world stunned. Disney's death felt almost unreal. How could the man who taught generations to believe in happily ever after die from something so painfully human? Yet, even as he battled the disease, he continued planning the future of Walt Disney World in Florida, dictating ideas from his hospital bed until his last breath. In the years that followed, Disney's passing became a cautionary tale. It reminded Hollywood that behind the fantasy and the fireworks, even geniuses are mortal. Do you remember the first Disney film that touched your heart? Tell us in the comments, because even in death, Walt Disney's imagination still lives in every frame. 6. Donna Summer, 1948–2012. They called her the Queen of Disco, the woman whose voice could make an entire generation move. But behind the glamour, Donna Summer was fighting a battle no one knew about. In May 2012, she died at her home in Florida after a long, private struggle with lung cancer. She was 63. What made her case so heartbreaking was that she wasn't a smoker. In interviews, family members said Donna believed her illness stemmed from inhaling toxic dust after the September 11th attacks in New York, where she had been living at the time. Whether true or not, the tragedy of her death cast a haunting shadow over one of music's brightest lights. From Hot Stuff to Last Dance, her songs defined an era of freedom and rhythm. When news of her passing broke, tributes poured in from all over the world, from Beyoncé to Barack Obama, who called her voice the soundtrack of a generation. Do you remember dancing to Donna Summer's music? Share your memories below, because her voice may have faded, but her rhythm still echoes through time. 7. Larry King, 1933–2021. For more than 6 decades, his suspenders and unmistakable voice were fixtures of American television. But even the great Larry King couldn't outtalk mortality. In January 2021, the world lost the man who had interviewed everyone from world leaders to movie stars. He passed away in Los Angeles after battling multiple health issues, including lung cancer, which he had been treated for years earlier. Larry first revealed his diagnosis in 2017. Doctors discovered the disease early enough to remove part of his lung, and he returned to work just weeks after surgery. That was Larry, relentless, unstoppable, driven by curiosity. But behind the cameras, his body was failing him. By the time of his death at 87, complications from both cancer and other illnesses had finally taken their toll. Fans remembered him not only for his sharp questions, but for his humanity, his ability to make the powerful open up and the ordinary feel seen. Which of Larry King's interviews do you remember most? Share your thoughts below, because in every question he asked, he taught us something about listening. 8. Catherine Houston, 1939-2012. Sometimes life imitates art in the cruelest ways. Catherine Houston, the beloved Emmy-winning actress from Desperate Housewives and The West Wing, spent years battling the very disease that would ultimately claim her life, lung cancer. She passed away on June 2, 2012, at her home in California, just 2 weeks after Desperate Housewives aired its final episode. Fans were stunned by the eerie timing. On screen, her character, Karen McCluskey, had also died of cancer in the series finale. Off-screen, the woman who brought her to life was quietly living out the same fate. But unlike her character, Catherine faced her illness with a fierce sense of purpose, using her fame to campaign for cancer awareness and anti-smoking efforts across America. Her resilience inspired millions, proving that even in the face of death, dignity and strength can shine. Do you remember her final scene in Desperate Housewives? It felt more like a farewell than fiction. Tell us your thoughts below, because sometimes television reflects the deepest truths of life itself. Nat King Cole, 1919-1965. When Nat King Cole sang, time seemed to stop. His velvet voice turned every lyric into poetry. Unforgettable, L-O-V-E, smile. But behind that smooth sound was a habit that would cut his life tragically short. Nat King Cole was a heavy smoker, often lighting one cigarette after another, even while recording in the studio. In February 1965, at just 45 years old, he died from advanced lung cancer. His passing shocked the world. Fans couldn't believe that the man whose music embodied elegance and grace could vanish so young. At the time, the dangers of smoking were still rarely discussed, and Cole himself once joked that cigarettes keep his voice smooth. The cruel irony was that those very cigarettes silenced it forever. After his death, his daughter, Natalie Cole, carried on his musical legacy, performing unforgettable duets with his voice decades later. Through her, his artistry lived on. Which of Nat King Cole's songs do you still listen to today? Leave your answer below, because every time his music plays, it's as if he never really left us. 10. Andre Braugher, 1962-2023. His voice was deep, his presence magnetic, and his performances unforgettable. When Andre Braugher appeared on screen, whether as the stoic Captain Raymond Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine or the intense Detective Frank Pembleton in Homicide, audiences couldn't look away. That's why the news of his death in December 2023 hit like a punch to the heart. Andre had quietly battled lung cancer, a fight he never made public. When the news broke, it stunned Hollywood. Even many of his co-stars didn't know he was ill. He was only 61. The man who gave us laughter, wisdom, and strength through his characters had been suffering in silence. Tributes poured in from fans and fellow actors. Terry Crews called him the greatest actor I ever worked with. Chelsea Peretti said, "He made every scene better just by walking into it." Do you remember Captain Holt's calm, deadpan humor? It's impossible to think of him without hearing that voice, firm, grounded, and full of heart. Share your memories of Andre Braugher below, because even now, his legacy continues to command respect. 11. Tony Roberts, 1939 to 2024. For more than 6 decades, Tony Roberts was one of Broadway's most recognizable voices, a performer whose timing, charm, and intelligence made him a favorite of both stage and screen. But in April 2024, the curtain fell for the last time. Roberts passed away in New York City from complications related to lung cancer. He was 85. To audiences, Tony was perhaps best known as Woody Allen's witty companion in Annie Hall, Play It Again, Sam, and Manhattan. To his colleagues, he was a consummate professional, an actor who never chased fame but earned it through talent alone. Those who worked with him said his laughter filled every rehearsal room, and his kindness made him impossible to forget. Even as illness weakened his body, Tony continued to attend theater events and mentor young performers, insisting that art should outlive its creator. And it has. Which of Tony Roberts' performances stands out most to you? The films or his Broadway triumphs? Share below, because remembering him keeps the spotlight shining a little longer. 12. Kong Ngai, 1932-2013. In Hong Kong, few actors commanded as much respect as Kong Ngai. Known for his powerful voice and stern yet dignified presence, he appeared in hundreds of films and television dramas throughout the 1970s and 80s. But in March 2013, that unmistakable voice fell silent forever. Kong Ngai died after a long battle with lung cancer, leaving behind a legacy woven deep into the fabric of Asian television. He was part of the golden era of TV beat dramas, portraying emperors, judges, and generals, roles that required both authority and gravitas. Fans across Asia admired how he could transform even the simplest dialogue into something commanding. When news of his passing broke, tributes from across the region flooded social media, calling him the pillar of the old-school Hong Kong screen. Though his final years were quiet, he remained a mentor to younger actors, often reminding them, "Fame is temporary, craft is forever." Do you remember seeing Kong Ngai in the classic TVB series The Greed of Man or The Foundation? Comment below, because remembering him means honoring a time when acting was about depth, not fame. 13. Lou Salvador Jr., 1940-2008. In the Philippines, Lou Salvador Jr. was more than just an actor. He was a symbol of rebellion, youth, and charisma. They called him the James Dean of the Philippines, a title that perfectly captured his smoldering looks and reckless charm. But behind that fiery spirit, a silent killer was waiting. In April 2008, Lou Salvador Jr. passed away after a long battle with lung cancer, closing the final act of a life lived in passion and intensity. Born into a legendary showbiz family, Lou became a matinee idol in the 1960s, defining an era of Philippine cinema. He starred in romantic dramas and action films that turned him into a cultural icon. Yet, like so many of his generation, smoking was part of the image, a prop of masculinity that eventually turned fatal. When he died, fans across Asia mourned the loss of a man whose charm never faded. His death served as another grim reminder of how fame and fragility often walk hand in hand. Do you remember the old films of Lou Salvador Jr.? Share your memories below, because even legends who burn too fast leave a light that lingers. Now, as we look back on all 13 stars, their stories remind us of one harsh truth, that the spotlight cannot shield anyone from fate. 13 stars, 13 lives, each one a story of brilliance cut short by the same merciless disease. From the laughter of Dustin Diamond to the grace of Nat King Cole, from the creativity of Walt Disney to the voice of Donna Summer, all of them remind us that behind Hollywood's golden glow lies a fragile human heart. Lung cancer doesn't discriminate. It takes comedians, singers, legends, and everyday people alike. Some of these stars smoked for years, others never did. But in the end, they all shared the same cruel destiny, a battle fought in silence, far from the cameras that once adored them. Which of these stars do you remember most? Whose story touched you the deepest? Tell us in the comments below, because remembrance is the only way to keep their light alive. And if you want to explore more stories behind Hollywood's fame and heartbreak, make sure to subscribe to Tragic Hollywood, where every legend's final chapter is remembered not for how they died, but for how brightly they once lived.